So I'd like to welcome everyone to Reimagining the Balibusta with Rabbi Dalia Bernstein. As some of you know, Rabbi Bernstein has led seminars with BQLI in the past, so it's a delight for us to welcome her back. Rabbi Bernstein is the spiritual leader at Congregation Beth Or, where she has been for 8 years. Prior to Congregation Beth Or, she was enrolled in the joint program between Jewish Theological Seminary and Columbia University, earning bachelor's degrees in Talmud Rabbinics and Anthropology. Rabbi Bernstein completed her rabbinic ordination at the Jewish Theological Seminary, where she also pursued a master's degree in Jewish education. She's since studied transformational life coaching at the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, where she has honed her skills, helping people break through actual and perceived personal boundaries to grow into the most satisfied versions of themselves. Rabbi Bernstein's vision for Jewish life is to build a community that reaches far beyond the borders of one building. Our teaching, conversations, and prayer should transform our everyday lives and therefore transform the world, leading to personal fulfillment, greater understanding, and urging us to action. Rabbi Bernstein believes that we must bring Judaism and self-acceptance to the streets and share communal life in our homes. A community with healthy boundaries can be a vessel for holiness, but when our walls make us into a fortress, we are keeping people out of self-fulfillment and belonging and peace. Rabbi Bernstein, I turn the microphone over to you.
Thank you very much, Anise. So this is a lot of fun for me. This topic is just a blast. And I wanted to just start off with a little bit of a story. So it's my year in Israel, and I'm studying in Jerusalem. I'm in rabbinical school at the time, and I am so excited for my parents to come visit my apartment, right? I was in my first year of marriage at the time, and my mother was going to come see my place, and she was going to see how I set it up and the life I was making for myself. And my crowning moment was when she and I were standing in the kitchen, and I was preparing Shabbat dinner, and she said, "Wow, Dalia, you have become quite the Balibusta." And she made my heart just like expand. I was like, I have earned my stripes as a Jewish woman. But as I, kind of went into the rabbinate and started working, and I wasn't a student any longer, and I was juggling all of these different responsibilities in a modern world, it became clear to me that an image of the Balibusta as I had in my mind didn't quite fit anymore. So what I would really love to do when we just starting off is in our chat box, I would love for you, when I say Balibusta, what is the first word that comes to your mind? See if I can see that also. Yeah, great. I'm trying to see if I can see the chat box. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So folks, don't be shy. What words come to mind when you hear Balibusta?
That's disabled.
Oh, there we go. We got homemaker, mother. Yep.
So the chat is disabled for some of us?
Disabled?
The chat is disabled for everyone who's not a host.
Oh. Did we just enable it?
No.
Okay. So Anisa, if anybody wants to.
I'm enabling it. It should be enabled now.
Okay, go for it. So let's try that again one more time. All right, we're seeing a lot of chats now. Okay, so the cook, the bubby, the kitchen, right? Everything is surrounding in the kitchen. The multitasker, what a great answer. Warmth. Yeah. Whirlwind. Amazing, Judy. The anchor. These are beautiful. I love the multitasker. Accomplished. Who does everything, right, Nadine? You've definitely been in some of my sessions before. Cooks without recipes. Just like a bissel of this and a bissel of that. A heavy, right, heavy. We imagine this like big, substantial woman. So the Balibusta, let's just break that word down a little bit. Balibusta comes from this Hebrew word ba'alat habayit, which means the mistress, the actually owner of the house. So it means that her domain is the home. And that's a really challenging concept because on the one hand, yes, she's the ba'alat habayit, but what other things in her life is she also, a ba'ala? What else is she the owner of? What else is her domain? And if we have a billion domains, then how thin are we spreading ourselves? So we're going to play with this concept of a ba'alat habayit, the Balibusta, and see what that might mean for you and for me in this world that we're living in. Whether, no matter how you've decided to organize your life, whether you worked outside of the home or predominantly in the home, whatever it is. So I just want to make sure that this is going along with it. There you go. Okay. So for me, I love bold, sassy Jewish women. And the concept of guilt, while everybody tells me that guilt is something that goes inherently with the Balibusta, I don't think it needs to. And I'll explain why, because I believe that when we experience less guilt ourselves, then we're making it so that other people can experience more freedom in their life, to feel good about themselves, and to fully accept themselves. But the biggest challenge is that we as Jewish women, I think, have a very hard time accepting ourselves, accepting all the ways that perhaps we don't live up to this concept of the Balibusta, where we've spread ourselves so thin and we create these expectations for ourselves that are built on some image that we have that we set ourselves up for failure in some ways. So we're going to be exploring this and to see what we might do with that information. So I am a coach, I'm a rabbi, and for me, the concept of rabbi has always encompassed coach. This concept of bringing truth that enables people to see themselves more clearly. So that is what's essential for me in this moment. And when we're talking about Balibusta, I almost want to break the myth of the Balibusta, as well as accept it and celebrate it at the same time, because my mother made me feel so good when she told me that I was a Balibusta, and I refused to let go of that concept. So today we're going to be looking at concepts of self-mastery so that we can really fully step into the version of ourselves that we want to see. Okay? We're going to be looking at how you can, see yourself and accept yourself completely, even when life is messy, even when life is not sewn together and complete. Life can be both complete and whole and also broken and shattered at the same time, as we have all experienced this past year. So when our life does not look pristine, right? When the grandmother would come to our house and we would be embarrassed for them to see what we've cooked, how can we still be a Balibusta, even if things don't look as perfect as we wish they did? Okay. And there's this beautiful Rabbi Nachman quote that says that there is nothing more whole than a broken heart. There is nothing more whole than a broken heart. That there is wholeness in brokenness. And last but not least, I just want to make sure. I really want people to walk away from this, both with the conceptual. We're going to be looking at some Jewish texts, and we're also going to be looking at some concepts of self-actualization. And for me, the question that we ask ourselves is, what is greater, Torah or studying Torah or action? And the rabbis mill this around in their minds a little bit. And finally, someone says, what, studying Torah is greater. And why is studying Torah greater than action? Because it leads to action. So the whole point of us studying together, of us discussing together, is so that you walk away with a greater sense of self, acceptance of self, and truly helping us see what it means to be a modern Balibusta. Okay, so what I see most, especially Jewish women, overcomplicating their lives by creating or really holding on to these ideals, these images of what a perfect life looks like and how we fall short of it. You know, I remember the first time I tried to make chopped liver and I had to throw it all out. It really was a big old mess. And if I told anybody that, I would have been so embarrassed, and I kept it to myself. But we have these big expectations of ourselves. And so I would really love to just put in the chat box, what are the pressures? Yeah?
Excuse me, there's someone who has background noise. Would you please mute? Sorry about that, Rabbi.
No problem. So just put in the chat box, what are the biggest pressures that we as Jewish women feel today? Right, to have a clean home, perfect, keep going. Oops, still hearing that noise if someone wants to mute themselves. To be perfect. Hi, Jody. Yep, lack of time, making sure everybody else is taken care of, raising your children. Time management, oh my God, is that a big one? You know, yes. Beautiful, Lisa. Yeah, maintaining religious observance remotely. It's very hard, right? You know, putting everyone else first. The question was, what are the pressures that Jewish women experience today? And I find that, you know, this concept of the Balibusta inherently has in it or creates in us an experience of being an imposter, right? So if we can't possibly live up to my grandmother's version of a Balibusta, actually, my grandma Laura made the best pies you were ever going to eat. And I know that I can't possibly live up to it. But this concept that, that we are imposters because we can't live up to that Balibusta, I don't believe that. I know that all of us, because we are living, breathing vessels of Judaism, we are literally this generation's living, breathing vessels of Judaism, that who we are today is the modern Balibusta. And when we feel this imposter, when we cannot have the perfect home, when for some reason, you know, because we feel like we're not doing enough, right? I want you to hear that phrase, not doing enough. How many of you if you have ever felt that feeling, I'm just not doing enough, just write yes in the chat box. Yeah, we're getting a lot of yeses. Yes, exactly, doing the best I can. And we go back and forth, both defending, no, I'm doing the best I can, and on the other hand, this pit in our stomachs where we just feel like it's not enough. And that comes from this imposter feeling. And because of that, we drive ourselves crazy, right? We drive ourselves crazy, and then we beat ourselves up, and then we set outrageous goals, and then we get deflated, and it all happens again. Okay? So let's keep going. So you probably are making so many to-do lists of doctor's appointments you need to make, lists of groceries that you need to order or pick up, you know, lists of people that you need to call, lists of this, lists of that. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's exhausting. And there is this other way. And some of you may have seen me teach this before, but this is one of my favorite teachings about being a speck of dust. So we are going to hold two truths at the same time. I'm a speck of dust, right? And the world was created for my sake. So the teaching is keep two pieces of paper in your pocket at all times. On one, I'm a speck of dust, and on the other, the world was created for my sake, for me. Now, what I want to talk about with all of us is, what does it mean that the world was created for my sake? So we're going to explore this a little bit. And one of the things that I wanted to just bring out is another teaching, which is, it's the Kutzker Rebbe, who says that when you were born, the world decided that it could not live without you. I'm going to say that again. When you were born, the world decided that it could not live without you, which means that you are an integral part of the world that we live in. That there's a purpose to your individual life. The world was created for your sake. And one of the things that I find most powerful about this is that you are living your individual life. No one else has the same experiences that you do. The way you grew up, the influences, the learning experiences, the challenges, the internal, the external. And so when we play this game where we are comparing ourselves to other balibustas, and we say, if only I could blank. If only I was more like them. Give me a little, raise your hand if you ever compare yourself to other people. Yeah. Oh, you guys are all bashful. Okay, I'm getting some head nods and some hand raising. Yeah. Do you ever compare yourself to other people? And we inherently do that. We want to see how we measure up. And I see, hi, Carol. How we measure up. How are we doing? You know, how do I measure up to other people? And so when I come back to this concept that the world was created for my sake, and that when I was born, the world decided that it could not live without me. That I live a unique life that cannot be compared to any other life. And so when I do that, when I compare myself, it's not an equal comparison. And so sometimes we need to remind ourselves, the world was created for my sake, right? The world was created for my sake. And that is in those moments when you just feel like your worth is nothing, that you are somehow not living up to some grander concept of this master woman, okay? So now we're gonna explore what it means to be a speck of dust, right? So speck of dust. I taught this concept a few weeks ago, and people came up with such interesting ideas. And if you're a member of my shul, I saw Nadine, I saw Sherry on here before, and Lucy. I'm excited to hear, you know, what has come up for you since then. But so what does speck of dust mean? What is another way of saying you are a speck of dust? What comes up for you? So just put it in the chat box. And I really appreciate it. I love how open you guys are and how much you're participating. Let's see what we got. I'm not able to see it. Either that or it's not. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we got, right. There's so many people out there that you are just insignificant. You're nothing. That you are a teeny tiny, right? There are so many stars, you don't stand out. Beautiful, Eileen. I don't know my purpose, right? So, Lisa just said, when you see from the perspective of heaven, you are just so tiny, one of many, right? You're not important. There are just so many of you. You're just, you know, if you were gone, then it doesn't really matter. Lauren, I love your optimist voice, right? The one of many, still unique, right? That is a beautiful way of seeing, yeah, Jody, we're totally going to go there. You know, you're a tiny part of the greater whole. And Cindy's comment, needle in a haystack, right? Those are very normal, natural things to think when you hear I'm a speck of dust. I'm a needle in a haystack, right? I'm just getting lost in the crowd. And no one, really, honestly, that feeling is no one cares about me individually. Like, I don't really matter. Or if you're going to say it like our Balibusta great grandmothers would say, it's okay, I'll just sit in the dark. It's fine. So, you know, and then, but what I want us to do is I want to really challenge that, because what I think we sometimes do is we oscillate between these two extremes. You know, we go to, the world was created for my sake. I'm defending myself. Sometimes that gets in the form of anger and frustration when we feel like other people are taking us for granted, right? How many times when you're like, could no one say thank you for what I just did for them? So we go to that extreme. We're like, hello, why are you assuming that I'm just going to take care of this for you? Okay, I'm seeing some head nods in some of you, like that sounds familiar. So we get to this extreme where we're like, no, the world was created for my sake also. And then we go to the other extreme, which is, you know what, why do I ask for so much? You know what, I'll just stay quiet, like it's fine. And because we oscillate, because I feel like I'm confusing, do I say oscillate or vacillate? But whatever, I'm sure someone will tell me afterwards. Because we go back and forth between these two extremes, we're really not feeling any sense of satisfaction. So what I would love, my bigger vision for the Balibusta is that, yeah, we are powerful and we are bold and we are sassy and we ask for what we want and we know our purpose and we are giving and we also know our worth. We know our value. We both believe that we are a speck of dust, which means that we are humble and we are, seeing ourselves as equal to everyone else. And on the other hand, we also see that we have magnificent power. We are unique. No one else is living our world, our life, our challenges, our skills and gifts either. And so we have to live with both at the same time. Bedibur echad, right? We have to live with bedibur echad. Why do I say bedibur echad in one word? Dibur is word, right? Because what we say on Shabbat is that shamor vezachor. You hear this in the Chadoti. Shamor vezachor bedibur echad. Try and say two different words at the same time. Try and say shamor and zachor at the same time. You can't do it. There's no such thing as bedibur echad. You can't say it at the same time. But guess what? When it comes to emotions, when it comes to mindset, you can have both mindsets at the same time. That is the beauty of a powerful tradition and teaching. So I want you to walk away with this, believing that you are both a speck of dust and that the world was created for your sake. And I'm going to tell you what the benefits are of being a speck of dust, or you can tell me, So what could be the benefits of being a speck of dust? Let's see what creativity people can come up with. Right? So you are part of a team. You help build up, you make up the whole. Right? You can disappear. Oh, I love that, Lauren. I want to get to know you, Lauren. I hear your optimism so strongly. So you are not alone. Exactly, Lynette. You don't have to take care of everything. Raise your hand if sometimes it feels like the whole world is on your shoulders. Yeah, it feels that way. There's so much pressure on us, right? And so sometimes you just want to disappear, right? It's okay if you make a mistake. How many of us actually believe that, though? That's the challenge. Good, Anise. I love that. I love that. Cindy, I don't know what H stands for in SCOP, but
Harriet.
Say it again.
Harriet.
So, right. And Nadine, you shared no one expects anything from a speck of dust. So I admire the people who believe that it's okay to make a mistake. And by the way, I might posit, and people really push back on me with this one, there are no such things as mistakes. That a person, I'm not saying that there aren't consequences. I'm not saying that there isn't morality, but mistake, the way we look at it as I am a real mess up, right? So that exactly, Pamela. So a chance to grow, and it's not lip service. I find that people with a really overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and responsibility, I believe, is really strong, but when we take it to an extreme, then we insert ourselves where we really don't need to. and we put way too much pressure on ourselves. Okay, so so the benefits we've seen of being a speck of dust is that if you're a speck of dust, there's so much for you to grow into. If you are a speck of dust, then you can relax. If you're a speck of dust, then no one expects anything of you. You know, I go through this, I go through this cycle with people where they say to me, you know, but if I don't respond, if I don't do this thing that they want me to do, they're going to think that I don't care. And then I say it to them, okay. And if they think that you don't care, then what? Then they're going to stop asking me, you know, to participate. Okay. And then if they stop asking you to participate, then what? And then I'll be lonely, right? So that, and it makes, that's why erasers were invented. That's great, Lucy. And when I'm, and if I was lonely, then what? And we get to the deep, dark bottom of that kind of pit. And finally, you know, and if I'm lonely and if I don't feel loved, then I'm worthless. And if I'm worthless, then I might as well just not exist. And then, you know, I had a coach get me here and she said, and if you don't exist, then what? And I said, then finally, everyone will leave me alone, right? I will be able to rest. So when we go into that place where we accept that, okay, it's okay to be that speck of dust at the same time. So let's keep going. We already talked about what it meant that for the world to be created for your sake. And we talked about having these two at the same time. And I'm going to go through this quickly, but basically what I'm presenting to you today are these Jewish concepts and also basically these 7 mindsets that people have. I call them energy, but they're basically 7 mindsets that we have. And at any given moment, we all have a combination of these mindsets. We are both the world was created for my sake and I'm a speck of dust. We are both a victim and completely powerful at the same time. So the first mindset is victim, hopeless, stuck. I don't have influence. I don't have control. And I find that people experience this a lot when we take a lot of responsibility for things, even when they're not our responsibility, even when it might even be more beneficial if somebody else took care of it. We somehow feel like we're not contributing. And so we try and we want to give more. But when we get frustrated, when we get stuck, then we feel like we have this victim, hopeless, you know, apathy, you know, kind of this detachment. And by the way, there are benefits and detriments to every single mindset. So what is the benefit of the victim? What is the benefit of the apathy? You want to know what it is? It's the speck of dust. I can finally rest. No one expects anything from me. I can withdraw a little bit. And there's also a disadvantage because it can really hinder the satisfaction that people feel in life. Mindset 2 is conflict, which is I win and you lose. And, you know, if, and the only way, remember, these are lenses through which we view the world. So I want you to think about the last time you got really angry. Think about it. When was the last time you got really, really angry? And what were you defending at the time? That's the question that I want you to think about. What were you defending at the time? And what was it about the situation that made you feel under attack? Okay. Now, this is all really helpful to understand that this is a mindset. In any given situation, we can choose. We can choose to approach that situation from this conflict. Yeah, Eileen, that makes sense. You know, when some things are sacred. And so you're saying your mourning period, and we can certainly talk more. And if you want to talk afterwards, I'm happy to. But when things are sacred, when we need them and other people are treading on our boundaries, you better believe there's going to be conflict. And so there are benefits to level 2 energy. If somebody truly is treading on our boundaries and we need to put a hard stop on that, we can choose what amount of level 2 energy do we want, okay? So again, all of us, we are a combination. There are benefits of level 1 and level 2, but also I'll just put out there that the detriments are when you experience that apathy, when you experience that stress of guilt and hopelessness, and also anger and conflict, what ends up happening is your body releases cortisol and your body releases adrenaline. And the way adrenaline and cortisol work is they break down your body tissue, at least cortisol. Right, Lynette, you're giving us another example. When you feel unheard or disrespected, you want to defend yourself. And so remember, what we want to do in any given situation is, what is our goal? What is it that we want to get to? And sometimes we just have knee-jerk reactions. And what we can do, and what I'm trying to get people to do, is I want us to step away from our knee-jerk assumptions and ideals that are really not realistic. So in that level 2 conflict, which is that defensive posture, we want to ask ourselves, how long can I sustain this? Because what happens is the stress breaks down our body to make energy so we can push through that moment. But what happens is we get sick, right? We get sick, and that energy, it hurts not only our bodies, but also our relationships and our motivation. How many of you have ever, you don't need to raise your hands for this, but I'm thinking to myself, we want it, like this one big goal that I talked to, I used to have a blog called Weight Watcher Rabbi, right? So how many of us beat ourselves up, and the way that we, try and lose weight is like, oh, you got to work harder, you're not doing enough, and we yell at ourselves. And that hinders and kills our motivation, our feel-good energy, our desire to move forward. Who would want to if it's just going to make you beat yourself up again? So there are other ways of motivating yourself, and that's those mindsets. That's what I really want to give us many options. So the next option is, and by the way, again, there are no good and bad. These are just options and recipes. What recipe do I want to approach life with right now? What amount of level 3? What amount of level 2? So responsibility. Level 3 is really making the best of any situation. Coping. Silver lining. A lot of the people, and especially Balibustas, I think are really powerful at level 3, and what I'm going to show you, which is level 4. Level 3 is let's make the best of the situation. If you think about the Torah, who was a lot of level 3? The peacemaker, Ohev Shalom V'Rodef Shalom, right? Aaron, the high priest. He tried to make peace between two parties. And what happens to Aaron? He gets sucked into the drama, right? He gets sucked into the drama of the golden calf, which we just saw this past week in the Torah portion. So there are benefits to level 3 energy, and there are detriments, as there are always in all these levels. So the benefits of level 3 is you really get people together. You make the most of a situation, especially when there's like a crisis. You really are a great person for this situation if that's your main mode of being. At the same time, what can be hard about this is that sometimes there are underlying issues that need conflict and to be addressed, that need to be aired. And so we want to ask ourselves that question: how much level 3 have I been living? What have I been just tolerating in my life? Hold on to that word tolerating, because it's going to come up at the very end. Anis, how much time do we have? I just want to make sure that I'm not, you're muted.
Sorry about that. We have 90 minutes, so take your time.
90 minutes. Okay. We can have some time for Q&A at the end also. But okay. So now my favorite, the Balibusta, the level 4. Nothing feels better when I am helping you. Nothing feels better when I am helping you, when I am nourishing you. So tell me, how do Balibustas like to nourish people? Let's see it in the chat box. Food, 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 food. me ask you. So the balibustas in your life, let's get more specific. How did they like to feed you? What specifically did your balibusta nourish you with when you were younger? And in fact, I'm going to participate in this one too. Someone got soup. I'm putting in chocolate cream pie. For me, my grandmother would send banana bread to all of her grandchildren. Kugel, oh, listening, Lynette, I love that. Comfort food and cookies and kugel, kisses and listening and hugs and chulent. Sugar cookies, I love that. So it is the nothing feels better than giving energy. And it's true. Nothing feels better than helping our loved ones with their problems. And hugs. Oh my God, I'm imagining and by the way, my grandmothers were very petite women, actually, but I'm still imagining just like a big embrace, warm embrace, big on my side, right? Like in your corner, really supporting you. Kind of like the mama bear also. That's what I was thinking, Jody, when you said that. And so the benefits of level 4 is that you just feel so much love when you can help someone. I'll tell you what the detriments are of level 4. That when you feel like your efforts are rejected or not appreciated, then you drop into feeling hurt and frustrated and even defensive sometimes. So the benefits are wonderful, and the advantages and the disadvantages. And so sometimes we want to ask ourselves, what level do I want to show up with right now? So most of us, my go-to level is level 4, hands down. Hands down. I have an assessment. I don't think I have it right next to me, but I have a chart literally that tells you my main way of being is level 4 energy. And if members of my congregation, this was what I sent out. We were doing this preparation for Passover to help us see, like, what amount of schmutz are we carrying with us? And what might we do to really find other levels of being so that we can head into, like, really we want to get rid of the chametz of our souls, right? So Sherry, you're giving us exactly where I'm going with this, which is level 4 can drain you. If you're giving too much, sometimes, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but like, I don't even realize how much I'm giving. Like I feel it, but I don't know it. And suddenly I get to this point where I've just hit a wall or I'm just tapped out. And then I'm now no good to anybody. I'm no good to anybody. And by the way, at that point, plenty of us still keep going. And then we hurt ourselves, right? Right, Jacqueline, the disease to please or people pleasing. Right, we get overwhelmed, we take on too much. And then no wonder, like I'm just holding up our to-do list just grow and grow and grow because we've just taken on so much. So when people say to me, right, exhausted mentally and physically, when people say to me that, they want to be the best version of themselves, they want to be the heart and soul of their homes. And I say, beautiful, this is a value that we're shooting for. What other goals do you have? And they say, well, I want to be kinder to myself. Okay. So how can you, and we look at different situations, how can you be the best version of how can you be giving in this situation and kinder to yourself? We hold them at the same time. So the next time you're in that situation, I want you to ask yourself that question. How can you hold up the value of the balibusta to give? And also, I would say, what would your balibusta say to you if you were in pain? Take care of yourself, honey. I can imagine my grandma Laura who would say, go lie down. Oh my God, she would say that. Go lie down, Bubala. Actually, she would call me Mamala. Mamala, go lie down. Go take care of yourself. So what you can even do, and this is I literally, maybe this is a little strange. I have a picture of my grandmothers who are my balibustas, and I will feel them. I will even kind of connect with them and hear them say to me, like, I'm so proud of you. Because think about all the things that you do that they would be so proud of. And by the way, I want to acknowledge that not everybody has that relationship with a grandmother or a mother. You know, plenty of us have challenging relationships with our family members. So if that grandmother is not going to work for you, if that image, choose somebody else who loves you and accepts you. Okay, so I want to really just acknowledge that we don't all have the same situations. Okay, now I have 3 more levels for you. Level 5, and these are when things get really interesting. Level 5, 6, and 7. These are all high on the passion side of things. So level 5 is, I'm not playing this game unless both of us are winning. It is the person who sees a win-win situation. Win-win doesn't mean that you get what you need and I'm left in the dark. It does not mean it's okay, I'll sit in the dark. It means that in this situation, we are both winning. And I'll show you. And I'm really excited. I want you to know, how is it a win for your children, your students, your nieces or nephews when you make sure that you are taken care of? How is it a win for them? I would love to see any answers you think. How is it a win for everybody else when you take care of yourself? This is a hard one. I hope I get. Okay, so you are happier. Do you think you'll snap less at people? Do you think you will sleep better? Do you think that you'll have more energy? Do you think you'll be able to listen better? You'll have more energy to play, more beautiful mental power. You are more present. Ooh, Vashti. I have a dog with me. This is what it means. Ooh, hold on. Vashti, come here. So yes, I named my dog Vashti. Hey. Right? Hashtag working from home. Hey, little one. Okay. So yeah, somebody I think is working on the house outside. So, right. So you are the best that you can be, right? This is what being a Balibusta is, right? In the moment, you're teaching a course and your dog is barking and this person needs that and that person needs this. But okay, so level 5 is we both win or we don't play. And think about the role modeling you're going to be doing for other people. You may make assumptions. The biggest battle I see from people is that they do a few things. One, they have a voice in their head that says, you're not doing enough. That's the gremlin. One, they make assumptions that whatever happened in the past is going to happen again in the future. Or they mind read. They make interpretations, right? So they make interpretations. And so we interpret that if we don't do that thing immediately, then they're going to think we don't love them or they're going to get hurt. There are other possibilities. So let's imagine that you take the opportunity to rest or to, instead of attending to someone right away, you said, you know what, I need to go for a walk, right? That is, the world was created for my sake. Okay. And so if we both, if someone in this party is not winning, then we're not playing. Okay. So level 6 and 7, the way I want to just look at this is level 6 is we're always winning. That in fact, that is your mindset. That no matter what happens, even if the worst happens, I'm still winning. I'm still winning. It's, and what could be possible? Think about something challenging happens. And you still imagine, you know what? I'm still winning. Do you know what level of power that gives you? What level of control over your life? Because the concept is that you are not trying to control the wind, but you are controlling the sail. Okay. So level 6 is complete passion. And the core emotion is joy and wisdom. And you can access an intuition. If you feel like you are always winning, then you have this access to an intuition. You imagine what a gift you would be to your family if you inherently, have you ever just inherently known something inside of you? Yes, great question. So winning because you tried but cannot control everything? No, I mean, that is a possibility. Yep, exactly, Sherry. So you can find good in any situation, but what I'm trying to get at is that if you believe that no matter what happened in your life, no matter what happened on the other side of that door, even if the worst happened, you are still valuable, you are still good, and that you are successful, that other people, what happens to you does not determine your worth or value. That's what always winning means. Yeah, Anise, very great. Like the eternal optimist. But, you know, and I think that when realists hear the concept of optimist, I think that people think, well, that's just not realism. But what is possible when you have the mindset that you are always winning? You see opportunities that other people don't see. So, and you access a level of energy that can that's what we call flow. Oh, I love those moments. Oh, I love that. Right. So Grace, you just asked this question. Does there have to be a loser then? Interesting. No, just because I'm winning doesn't mean other people are not. It's not about them. Yeah, confidence. Absolutely. So in one of my trainings, I think you're going to think this is so frustrating. But in one of my trainings, I was in this, this group where we were supposed to play a game. They gave us the rules, and our leaders said, okay, does anybody have any questions? And so somebody asked a question about the rules of the game, and all they answered was, good question. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? And they kept going and going. And so we all wanted to know, how do I play the game right? How can I play a perfect game? And so we played these games, and each of us had to discover what were our metrics of success. And so I decided that I was going to win the game if I didn't feel stress. I was going to win the game if I laughed a lot. I was going to win the game if da-da-da-da-da. And everybody got to do that. And so suddenly it wasn't like it wasn't the dice that like made me win the game. It wasn't my strategy that made me win the game. It was my mindset that made me win the game. And I found that really powerful. And guess what? Each of us was playing, even though we were playing together, we were playing a different game. And so that's how I'm trying to get you to this place where you can both be, the world was created for your sake, and you are dust and ashes. You are both nothing and everything at the same time. We are holding all of these at the same time. And even when I am dust and ashes, guess what? I'm still winning. Even when I'm hocking up a lung, I'm still winning. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of shame involved in some things that don't require shame, that really we don't need to be ashamed of. You know, and when there's, you know, I've seen campaigns in the last, I would say 20 years that made sure that people could speak out when they were suffering, when they were battling cancer, when they were battling depression, when they were, you know, doing all of these things. And sometimes what adds to our suffering is our mindset about suffering. We somehow think that we have earned our suffering. And I don't believe that. I do not believe that we earn our suffering. And we feel embarrassed, and we think, well, I should have done this and I should have done that. Well, I'm hesitant to say this in this Women's League seminar, but I'm going to say it anyway. So when the word should, I want you to eliminate from your vocabulary. In coaching, we say, stop shoulding on yourself. All right, and the rabbi said that. Okay, come to Congregation Beth Orr. We have a lot of fun, right, Nadine? Right, Jerry? So eliminate it. Eliminate should from your vocabulary. It helps no one. And instead of saying should, see what it feels like to say want to. How does it change your life if you go from should to want to? Okay? So, so that level 6 is we are always winning. always winning, even when our dogs are barking during our classes. So level 7 is the last piece, which is absolute passion. And by the way, no one can stay in level 7 energy for very long. This mindset, I call this, it's not really true, but the concept of level 7 is that everything is an illusion anyway. That, you know, what we see and who we are and divisions between you and me, we're all just molecules in this world, organized molecules. And we break ourselves down so far that life is just an illusion. If I'm a speck of dust and I'm in this sea of specks of dust, then, you know, life is just, it's an illusion. But when you can get to a place where life is an illusion, and the higher you go up into these levels, the less judgment you have. Less judgment about yourself, bad or good, right? That's what I mean by judgment. When you label things as bad or good. When things are not bad or good anymore, and you just say, you know what? Life is an illusion. And I'll tell you when this is really powerful for me. When I am putting way too much stock in things that really are not that important. Anybody do that? Level 7, that question of like, or really just how is this an illusion, is a really powerful question that I can ask myself and that you can ask yourself. Okay. So I want you to ask yourselves with, you know, I have an assessment for this that people can do, which again, we're using with my shul for this preparation for Pesach, but what level is most prominent for you? I'll just go over it quickly, right? Level 1 is apathy and I'm stuck in guilt. Level 2 is anger and conflict. 3 is coping and peace. 4 is giving. 5 is 5 is win-win. You win and I win, and we don't play unless we do. By the way, level 5 is very much about seeing possibilities and opportunities. And 6 is absolute passion and connection and unconditional love. And 7 is the last piece, which is life is an illusion. So what is most prominent for you? Feel free. I would love for you to put this in here. Yeah. 4 and 5. 4. Yeah. I imagine we'll see a lot of level 4. Now, the distinction I want to make for people, by the way, yeah, and by the way, sometimes we feel like one level in one area of our lives. We feel a greater level of satisfaction. We feel a greater level of passion and influence, and we might be higher in those areas of our lives. And then in the other areas of our lives, we may feel lower, or we may feel higher. And let's just be clear. Again, lower is not bad and higher is not good. That's not what this is. It's simply about the recipe that we want. If I had a bear chasing me, I would want a lot of level 2 energy. So, okay. And here's the other thing. When we get triggered, right? When something really hits a button, and we get triggered and we drop down, we all have a stress reaction. And most of us are in levels 1 or 2 in our stress reaction. 50% of my stress reaction is, what did I do wrong? That's where I go first. Okay. So that's my question for you, is how do you want to be a Balibusta? What combination do you want in your life? So if you're telling me that you're at a certain level, what would be the benefit of adding more or less of a different level in your experience? So I want you to think about that. Oh no, there's work being done outside. She's going to start barking. But then you don't feel authentic, right? So interesting. Great point, Margie. So you don't feel authentic because you're trying something else on. You know, I think that there's a difference between changing your mindset and becoming a different person, because we can only change our mindset if we act it, if we go there. And You know, the word for wearing a costume, like getting dressed up, is lahit chapes. Lahit chapes is to put on a costume, to get dressed up. Lahit chapes is chipus. Chipus is searching and seeking. So when we try on different mindsets, when we give ourselves permission, right? That's the word I want you to consider. And a lot of people don't want to give up their old mindset because their old mindsets protected them. And we have what are called gremlins. Gremlins are in our minds, and gremlins are there to protect us. They are little voices that keep us small and safe by not letting us try new things. So I want you to consider, like, what is your gremlin voice inside of your head? And it generally sounds something like, you know, they're going to think that you are blank, greedy, lazy, something to do with your worth. Exactly. Good, Margie. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The good or bad voices in your mind that say good girl or bad girl, you know, but they keep you locked in one way of being. Exactly. Authentic is more than one level. We are always more than one level, and it's about experimentation, and it's about experience. And yeah. So by the way, Lynn, so I would say that what you're just writing in there, that is level 5, you know, taking care of others and myself at the same time. So one activity you can do when we get off the phone is to make a list. What are you tolerating? Now, what I can do is I'll put my email in the chat, and you can email me. I have a workbook that you can use that are to help you figure out what you are tolerating and what you can do about it. And so what are you tolerating? I want you to make a list of what you are tolerating. And if you want, I'll send you the workbook, which is a lot of fun. Just, you can email me, which I'll put in the chat box. And here's this next question, which is, what if you defined what being a Balibusta meant? You defined, not previous generations, not your children, not your grandmother. You know, what if you defined what it meant? And because you yourself are a vessel, right? I used this word before. You digest what came before and what in front of you. And it evolves. There is a fluidity, Lynette. Yeah, there is a fluidity. And sometimes we have underlying beliefs that aren't serving us anymore. And that's some of the work that I do with my congregants, and that's some of the work that I do with clients, which is just to see what beliefs are holding us back. Okay, so really it's just about trying on new mindsets. So are you ready for that? Right? Are you ready for more freedom? Are you ready for more joy? So that's what I want for you. You know, are you ready for more joy? Are you ready for more freedom? And do you believe you deserve it? Do you believe that you get to define? Define what a Balibusta in 2021 means. Because guess what? Our grandmothers and great-grandmothers could not possibly have imagined the world that we live in. With these pressures and these responsibilities, Eileen, my congregation is in Belmore, New York, Belmore, Long Island. So it's Congregation Beth Orr. I know I have some members, so if anybody with one of my members wants to put the website in the chat box, that would be really helpful. So it's cbohr.org. And so you can reach me through our website, and I want to, this is my Torah. Thanks, Jerry, I appreciate that. This is my Torah for everybody. My Torah for you is that you experience both self-acceptance and that you believe that you are capable of even more. You can balance those two things at the same time. That the world was created for your sake and that you are dust and ashes. To believe that the day that you came into the world was the day that the world decided it could not live without you. So if any of you want to talk about this further, I am available. You can reach me through the CBOHR website. My email address is on there, and I want this for you. Yeah, so Grace just made this comment. All these concepts apply to every individual, not just Balibustas. Totally. They are universal. I believe that too. But I think that what I really wanted to hone in on is that the Balibusta tend to have more level 4 and 3, which is constant giving. But if I was talking to a different populations, maybe if I was talking to a group of business people, then I might, I might look at specifically what levels they tend to. Do you get what I'm saying? So, and by the way, Balibustas can be business people. I get it, right? But this is just one of the things that I wanted to bring forward. All of these concepts apply to everybody, certainly. But this of the level 4 energy of giving to the extent where you are drained, how does a person who the world is created for them, how does a person like that deserve that? So I think, Anise, that this is a good time to stop and to do some Q&A. So what people can do is people can raise their hands, and I will call on them.
Oh, raise hands.
Someone just unmuted themselves and we can hear you thinking out loud.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So if you want to raise your hand or you have any other questions, I'm happy.
Rabbi, would you like to stop screen sharing?
Yeah,
so we can
I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
Okay, so what questions do you have for me? I'm seeing even more. Hello, my people. I see Fran and Sherry. Okay, so keep going. What questions do you have? Don't be shy. And if there are none, then that's fine too. Oh, I just saw a hand. Yeah, Margie. So
I just think that we compare ourselves and how we define the word Balibusta to our grandmother, our mother, whoever we thought of women of the past, if we had any role models like that. And we're so hard on ourselves because we're comparing them to them. But our children and grandchildren don't know those people,
right.
Mostly. So they're going to think we are, no matter good or bad, their definition of what it is will be us.
Yeah.
So
yeah, isn't that amazing?
Put it in perspective. That's all.
That's a great point, Margie. And I also we got a question or a comment by Diane, which is a beautiful comment, which is, if you choose to change your mindset or your energy, there will be pushback. There will be pushback. Because guess what? What, you're not doing that for me anymore? And so what you want to decide ahead of time is what is your answer going to be? And why, and what are you going to keep in the back of your mind that's going to keep you going forward, even when they trigger you, even when you know you're going to drop into, oh, I don't deserve it. I'll just suck it up. I'll just sit in the dark. So we kind of have that in the back of our minds. And so what are you going to say when there is resistance? Okay. Other questions? Oh, Eileen, go for it. Oh, I just took you off, Eileen, but unmute yourself.
Mike, I'm single and all the responsibility is on me.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I can get so overwhelmed that I can have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. I've learned that one thing that I can do is just stop what I'm doing when I feel that way and just relax and take some deep breaths. Yeah. And I do meditate.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good point, Eileen. And by the way, for anybody who's interested, on Wednesday mornings, we actually have meditation online at my shul, and that is at 10 a.m. You just go to the website and you can join. You don't even need to register ahead of time, but you're welcome to join us. So we do that meditation because of exactly what Eileen is just sharing, which is that it is life is overwhelming. Life can be challenging. And if we expect it not to be, then, you know, I think we're going to be disappointed. But if we can develop these tools that Eileen is describing, these tools to help us move away from whatever level we're in, because I would describe that as a little level 1, a little level 2, you know, and again, acceptance is part of this, not resistance. Seeing where we are, knowing who we are, how we're experiencing the situation, and taking a step back and deciding how we want to respond. All right, Lucy.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Eileen.
Hi, I just wanted to say that, I don't know, Balibusta and my concept was always that you did everything well.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting that you had all these different aspects of being a Balibusta.
Mm-hmm. That's why we reimagined the Balibusta. Absolutely. Thanks, Lucy.
Okay.
Yeah, I just saw Grace.
Yeah, I just had an experience recently that I wanted to just share with everybody, because I've been doing weekly Zoom cooking and baking with my 4-year-old niece, because I'm one of 3 girls and my sisters are not Balibustas. And her nanny, who is a wonderful woman, says, I want her to learn. How is she going to learn the traditions that my children, who are grown women and married, now know? So we've started doing this, and it's so mutually satisfying and gratifying between me and my niece. But it made me think how my mother, who is the Queen Balibusta, raised 3 girls, and 2 of them just, I mean, they're wonderful in their homes, but they're not what any of us would really consider Balibustas, right? Mm-hmm. So I called my mom and I asked her how she learned to be a Balibusta, because it occurred to me that her mother wasn't really either. And she said it was something that she just thought about and really wanted to demonstrate, and learned, like she learned to cook, and she learned how she wanted her Jewish home to be. Mm-hmm. And we all have Jewish homes, and all the grandchildren know what that feeling is. But to me, there's still a distinction about being a Balibusta and then just having a home where being Jewish is important. So I thanked my mother, mm-hmm. and inadvertently brought her tears for starting this tradition, which was so beautiful, because I know that I have consciously passed it on to my children, and now my niece, which I think is just, it should make us all realize, no matter what kind of Balibustas we are, that it's such an important role that we play in the family, and to do it in whatever way is best for you. Mm-hmm. And it's just really important role.
And one of the things that I find really powerful about what you said is the conscious choice that your mother employed, mm-hmm. and the conscious choice that you're employing. And because a lot of us, we do things, like I said, on knee-jerk reaction, you know, what we're used to doing. And if all women did that, then you know, we would have no change, and we wouldn't be able to address what's coming up now. So in some ways, it's our responsibility to do what your mother did. It's our responsibility to see what's in front of us and reimagine what it is. The role of the bubby today is very different than the role of the bubby before. In many ways, the bubby is like the ultimate educator, the one, you know, and so I think that that's part of the Balibusta that you're describing. But for me, it's a conscious choice. How is it that you want to show up? What do you want to model for your, you know, whether it is your children, your nieces, nephews, your, you know, students, whatever it is, and also keep these levels in mind. Yeah. Thank you so much, Grace. Any other questions? Let's see if we have any hands. Okay. Well, this really was a pleasure. I'm so grateful for how open and curious you all are and how thoughtful and mindful you are. So this has been, like I said, a true pleasure. And Anise, I think we can close out the day.
Well, thank you so much, Rabbi Bernstein.
Welcome.
You certainly have given all of us plenty to think about when we end our Zoom, as well as what we thought about during this workshop. I would like to thank everyone for joining us and remind you that on Wednesday, April 21st, will be our annual Helen Citron Day. We will be meeting in the afternoon this year. We have Rabbi Citron will be joining us again, and Rabbi Amy Eilberg, who is the first woman who was ordained as a rabbi at JTS. And some of you may have been in the workshop that she did with Women's League a few months ago. It should be a fabulous program. And then we have our year-end Woman of Achievement Gala, which I hope all of you will join us and support our journal, support our honorees, and support our incoming board of directors. So look for this information in our Shabbat greetings and standalone emails that will be coming out over the next few months. So I want to wish everyone a Chag Kasher V'Sameach, with Passover coming up and all of the Balibusta preparations we'll be doing. And with that, I'm going to say thank you and goodbye. Have a wonderful day.